Hey everyone, welcome to this channel. So, let's talk about the standard American diet. I mean, you've heard the jokes, right? But why is it actually so famously unhealthy? Today, we're going to look past the usual eat your veggies advice and really get into the hidden systems from government policies to the literal science of cravings that are quietly shaping what ends up on our plates. Let's get into it. So, right off the bat, check this out. It's a tale of two diets. In the US, a whopping 73% of our entire food supply is ultra-processed. Now, compare that to Europe, where it's around 44%. That is a massive difference. And honestly, that single gap tells you so much of the story and shows you exactly where things start to go off the rails. And here's what that looks like in our day-to-day lives. 65%. That is the number of Americans who eat fast food at least once a week. You know, for almost 2/3 of the entire country, this isn't some occasional treat anymore. It's just part of the routine.
But see, this isn't just about millions of people suddenly making bad choices all at once. To really get it, we have to pull back the curtain and look at the systems working behind the scenes. So first up, let's talk about the hidden hand that shapes our plates: government policy. The US government has been in the business of giving us dietary advice for a long time. The first official guidelines dropped back in 1980, and since 1990, they've been updated every 5 years like clockwork. But these are way more than just pamphlets. They decide what's served in school lunches, what our troops eat, and even what your doctor might tell you. They pretty much set the tone for the entire nation's eating habits. Now, you'd think these incredibly influential guidelines were built on some rock-solid science, right? Well, not exactly. From day one, they were super controversial. In fact, the National Academy of Sciences itself said the science behind them was, and I quote, generally unimpressive. Ouch! The foundation was shaky from the very beginning. And you know what? That controversy has never really gone away. For decades, critics have been pointing to all sorts of issues: intense lobbying from the food industry, a ton of political pressure, and some serious conflicts of interest on the advisory committees themselves. All of this has basically worn down public trust and has people calling for a total overhaul of the system.
Okay, so that's the policy side of things, but what about the food itself? This is where we get into the science, and it is fascinating and a little scary. We're talking about how modern food is literally engineered to make us want more. So, meet the star of the show, the ultra-processed food, or UPF for short. Now, these aren't just foods with a few extra ingredients. No, these are full-on industrial formulations. They're made from substances derived from food, plus a whole cocktail of additives. They are specifically designed to be cheap, super convenient, and this is the key, hyper-palatable. That's just a fancy scientific way of saying they're designed to be basically impossible to stop eating. So how do these UPFs actually trick us into overeating? Well, it's kind of the sneaky 4-step process. First, their texture is super soft, which means we chew less and eat way faster. That means we can consume a ton of calories before our brain even gets the memo that we should be full. Second, that "hey, I'm full" signal is already delayed. And on top of all that, they have this perfectly engineered trifecta of salt, sugar, and fat that is so rewarding. It basically hijacks our brain's normal hunger cues. It's a system designed for overconsumption. And look, this isn't just a theory. A really tightly controlled clinical trial put this to the test. They had people eat an ultra-processed diet, and what happened? They automatically, without even trying, ate an extra 500 calories a day. And no surprise, they gained weight. That just shows you the sheer power of these foods.
Okay, so the food itself is basically engineered to be irresistible, but the environment we live in makes choosing anything else even harder.
Our surroundings, from the corner store in our neighborhood to the ads on our phone screens, create a seriously uneven playing field. For millions of Americans, eating healthy isn't just a matter of willpower, it's a matter of geography. We're talking about food deserts. These are areas often in low-income or rural communities where the nearest supermarket with fresh produce is miles and miles away, but there's a fast food joint or a convenience store on every single corner. I mean, if you can't even buy an apple easily, how are you supposed to eat one? So in some places, you have this total lack of healthy options, but everywhere there's an absolute flood of unhealthy messaging. And it's especially aimed at kids. Think about this. A global poll from UNICEF found that 3 out of every 4 young people had seen an ad for junk food or a sugary drink in just the last week. And guess what? It works. It absolutely works. That same poll found that 60% of those kids said the ads made them want those exact foods. This is not an accident. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that knows exactly how to shape our desires from a very young age. Pretty sneaky, right?
So what happens when you combine flawed policies, scientifically addictive food, and a manipulative environment? Well, you get some very, very serious consequences. Let's take a look at the unsettling bill that comes with all this cheap and convenient food. This chart tells a really brutal story. Back in the late 70s, the adult obesity rate in the US was 15%. By the year 2000, it had already doubled to over 30%, and today it's over 40%. That trend line is just undeniable, and it points directly to a massive public health crisis. And this isn't just about a number on a scale. That 40% is what's driving some of our most devastating chronic diseases. We're talking about type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, even at least 13 different types of cancer. They all have direct links back to the modern American diet. And beyond the incredible personal health toll, the economic cost is just mind-blowing. $4 trillion. That is the projected annual global price tag for overweight and obesity by the year 2035. It's just staggering.
Okay, I know after all that it would be really easy to feel, defeated. But the story isn't over. So for this last part, let's ask the most important question of all. Can this menu be changed? And the good news is, awareness is always the first step. And it really does feel like things are starting to shift. So what actually works? Well, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. If you look around the world, there are strategies that have been proven to work. Things like stronger policies, taxes on sugary drinks, empowering families with really clear, simple food labels right on the front of the package so you know what you're getting, and protecting public spaces by getting junk food out of schools. These aren't just ideas, they're concrete, actionable steps.
So we've seen how the entire food system, from Washington, D.C., down to the science of a potato chip, is pretty much designed to make us overeat. So knowing all that, does it change how you look at the food that's sitting on your plate? It's a huge question, and I genuinely love to hear your take on it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you found this useful, make sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching.